Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video I want to show you how to fix a waistband and the belt holders. Basically what I'm showing you right now, the easiest way to fix a waistband and trousers, you understand? So let's get into the business of the day quickly. So what you need is the fabric, which is going to serve at the front side. Remember that the waistband is going to be at the inside. Now this is the waistband that we're going to use. Is gold. You can use any type of waistband. There is classic and some other types of waistband, you understand? So this is the belt holder. So I've marked the point where I'm going to be putting my belt holders. Understand? I've marked it already, and then it's a total of six belt holders. Alright, so now we are going to the machine. So right here I'm showing you the point where we are at the trouser. We fix the zip, we joined, we have done all the parts, all the necessary parts in the trouser. So what's left is the belt holder, the band rather, the waistband and the belt holder. Okay, so let's get into the business. Okay, so let us start the work. Like I said earlier, you can see that I've joined the back. Some people fix the waistband before joining. Do you know the joining? But you can see where we at. So this is how it's supposed to be after we are done. So now let's start the business. Now remember that the fabric that I'm using, I applied the gum stain. I applied the gum stain to it. Some people use cloth gum as well, but what I'm using in this particular video is the cloth gum. So obviously you're going to start by unzipping the trouser. This is the material that I'm using. Like I told you earlier, I applied the gum stain to it. I'll place it this way and fold it inside a little. Okay, make sure that it's folded. Starting from now, I unzipped the zip, remember. So like I said earlier, I've marked where I'll be putting the belt holders. Okay, so what I'll be doing here is at every point where I marked, I'll place the belt holder there. Place the belt holder there like this, and then stitch on top of it. Okay, so this process is what I'm going to do around the fabric. This process is what I'm going to be doing around the waist. Okay, so once I get to the point where I've marked for the waistband, raise it up, place the waistband, and then continue. It's a simple process for now. Okay, so I think I'm just going to fast forward this part. Okay, so the process is simple. Place it at every point where you marked for the waistband, and then run stitch on top of it, round. Now for the fabric that I'm using here, make sure that it is longer than the waist measurement. So this trouser, the waist measurement is 36, but the material I'm using has to be more than 36. So I have about 42 here. Okay, so you can see that it is more than the waist. You understand? It is more than the waist. It's more than the waist measurement because it has to overlap. It has to be more than it. You understand? So you can see where I'm cutting from. I'm not cutting at the exact line. You can see this. So it has to be more. You understand now? So, and then the width of the material is 2.5 inches. Okay, so like I said earlier, the length is more, it has to be more than the waist. So whatever waist you're making for the trouser, maybe the trouser is 40 inches, then the material will probably be maybe 45, and then the width will be about 2.5 inches. Okay, so now we've done this part around the waist. The next thing we are going to do is just to double stitch on the belt holder. We're just going to double stitch on the belt holder about half inches down, just about half inches down. I'm just going to double stitch the belt holder, and the same process will go around. You understand? Okay, so we are done with that. We are done with the double stitching, and we just cut the, make sure that whatever you're doing is neat. Okay, so we're cutting off the ropes before we get into the business proper. Okay, so let me do that quickly. Okay, so we are done with that. We are done. This is exactly how it is going to look like. This is the reason why we are attacking it. You can see. So the purpose now is so that the belt holder will be bigger. There will be more room for a bigger size of belt. You understand? So now this where that is looking a little tricky. Understand? This is the part that is a little tricky. You can see I'm folding it from the zip area, and I'm going to stitch just about 1.5 inches. Just about 1.5 inches. I hope you saw what I did there. Just fold it to the front. Understand? Then stitch 1.5 inches. It must not be not 1.5 inches anyway. And depending on the size, how big you want your waistband to be. Sometimes I don't think it should not be more than 1.5 inches. So you can see what I did here. Now I'm just going to cut off these extras there. Just going to cut off the extra there. Remember that I've stitched it already. So I folded it to the front and then stitched it. Hope you can see that. Then now we are going to add the waistband. So before adding the waistband, you should also check the right side. You understand? You should already know that the part that is readable. You watch the writing on the waistband to know the part that you can read, and that's the right side of the waistband. Okay, so you are placing it behind the stitches that you made. Hope you can see that it's crossing over, so it's not going to be at the exact spot. So once you fold it, you cross your waistband inside. Hope you understand. And then just run your stitches at the edge of the waistband. And then when you get to this point of the belt holder, you just raise it up this way and then place your waistband on top of it. Now at this point, you have to make sure that your hand is straight. Okay, or you can easily mark if it will be better for you to mark a line, or if it will be better for you to mark a line that you follow, then fine. Or anyhow you're going to do it, but just make sure that the line is straight. Okay, so I'm already used to doing this, so I don't really need to mark the line in order to keep my hand straight. You understand? So once you get to the point where there is a waistband, you just raise it up, and then where there is a belt holder, raise it up and then place your waistband on top of it, and it's that simple. You understand? So when you get to the finish point, when you get to this point now, you cut off the waistband, the extra. Alright, so hope you can see that. So now this is what we have. At this point, it is about 50% ready. It's about 50% ready, and Hope you can see how clean and smooth it is looking. All the lines are equal. So now we are going to move it to the back and then run our stitches on top of it. Okay. Yeah, so but before we do that now, I'm now going to turn it over. Hope you saw what I did here. Turn it over. Automatically the waistband goes to the back. Alright, so now, but before turning it over, if I was going to use a trouser hook, it is at this point that I fix my trouser hook before I flip it over and then run my stitch. But I prefer using trouser buttons on trousers because they are more reliable and durable than trouser hooks. So because I'm going to be using a button on this trouser, so I don't need to fix the hook, obviously. But if I was going to fix a trouser hook, it is at this point that you fix the hook before running your stitches. Now when we get to this point, you can see this end point here. I'm flipping the waistband to this front. You saw what I did there, and then run a stitch on top of it and then turn it over. You understand? Simple as A, B, C. Very simple. Just like I said earlier, this is like the easiest way of fixing your waistband on trousers. Now you turn it over. Okay. So you can see how smooth it is looking. I'm just using my zip to point it out to the edges well so that it will look sharper and clean. Hope you can see that. So this is how it's looking. Now you can see that even my fabric is overlapping to the inside because you're not supposed to be seeing the waistband from the front of the trouser. Hope that makes sense. You understand? So now we are just going to run our stitch on top of it. Now we are going to be stitching at the edge of the joining, not on top of the waistband now. Sorry, not on top of the waistband, but at the edge. At the edge, that's where I run my stitches. So it's almost invisible to see this particular stitch here, unless if you pay a close attention, because I'm not going to be running this stitch on top of that band. You understand? Yeah, so when you get to the belt holder, you shift it aside. When you get to this point, you shift it aside like this and then move it backwards and then continue your stitches. You can see how I'm keeping my hand on that straight line, that joining in between. That's more like I'm trying to hide my stitches. Yeah, so like as I was saying, you can see how I'm doing it right here. Move the belt holder backwards, move it to the front first. When you run the stitches, then you move it to the back and continue. This is what I mean. You can see, move it out of the way and then move it to the back and you continue. And the same process is being followed until we get to this end point. Hope you understand. And then always lock your stitches. It is very important to lock your stitch. So this is what we have. Then I'm going to give it a thorough iron. Alright, but even without the ironing, you can see how smooth it is looking here. Yeah, so you can see how smooth it is looking here. Yeah, so I'm just going to give it a thorough ironing, and iron will solve every problem. So the last thing to do is now to run a stitch here. You understand? Remember that we did not do that before fixing the waistband. Okay, so I'm just going to do that quickly. Okay, so for those that cannot do this curve perfectly, there's actually a pattern that you can buy in the market that you follow to get this perfect flap curve, you understand, in your trousers. But I'm already used to using freehand, but I still advise you to get the pattern to follow, you understand. Yeah, so but then you can see how smooth my own is looking, you understand. You can see how clean it is looking here. So at this point it is ready. At this point the next thing to do is simply iron it and then fix your buttonholes and your trouser button, and then you are good to go, you understand. So this is how it looks like, you can see. Alright, so if you watch to this point, I want to thank you for watching. Like, share and comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, so this is me replying to someone. I got this request. Someone asked me to make this video on how to make or fix a trouser band, waistband, you understand. So this is it. So if you have any other thing that you want me to help you with, you can drop it on the comment section and I'll do a video about it. Thank you and God bless.